So what's making you miserable these days? You're on this.
I'm not miserable. I call it that because I came up with this metaphor back in the late 70s. It just came up by mistake, but then it became a hook, and then I stopped doing it. Dates from hell, boss from hell, anything from hell that ruined my life. Then it became sort of part of the vernacular. And I came up with it when I was an active alcoholic because I always felt I was the victim. The point is, I was victimized by a family that wasn't really there for me emotionally. And I did have a lot of wacky girlfriends. But when I got sober and I had to start taking responsibility for my own actions, I realized I was a son from hell. I was a date from hell. I was an uncle from hell. I wasn't, I always blamed everybody else. So it opened up a Pandora's box of material for me, which is fabulous. Lou Reed and I have become friends the last few years, and he said, you're going to be that neurotic Jewish comedian. I don't care if you win 3 Oscars. That's it. So, get over it. And I did get over it. And my whole stand-up, I only went on stage when I was a kid because I felt invisible as a child. I really did. My dad was never home. He died young. My mother had her own problems. My brother left fast, Greenwich Village time with the beatniks. My sister eloped, and I was alone. And I felt I needed to be validated, so I talked about my personal feelings. I like to free associate on stage, and I need a good audience. A lot of comedians say there's no such thing as a bad audience. That's a lot of BS. If I'm doing a show in front of white supremacists, I'm going to tank. I need audiences that let me fly, and if they let me fly, I'll ad-lib the whole show. At this point in my life, I just don't want to do anything that's embarrassing. I told my wife, I said, what if they offered me $1 million to be, a pickle in a McDonald's commercial? She says, well, you're single.
All right, a final question for you then. Are you happy?
I'm grateful. I have more acceptance, and I'm happy much more than I ever have. And I remember an interview that Dylan did after his last album, which won a Grammy, thank God, which I go to sleep with a lot of the time. And he did say, and I think it was in Time Magazine, they said, are you happy? It's exactly what you asked. And he says, hey, man, I could wake up and from 8 to 9, I'm happy. Something bad can happen, I'm bummed. Then I can get happy again. Then I could have, I'm paraphrasing Dylan, for Christ's sake. It's stupid. But that's how I am. But the bigger picture is now that I'm not controlled today, at least, and I don't think I ever will. I hope I die sober. And so now that I don't feel so in control, my ego has sort of taken a back seat to booze, and I just sort of feel like it's really cool just living life on life's terms, so to speak, and so I'm much happier than I've ever been. I'm constipated, though.